And welcome to WGN TV Political Report. We start this morning here in Chicago, where the topic of gun violence and how to stop it has been front and center all week. Mayor Lightfoot, top police brass, Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx have been at odds over a single case, a shootout on the city's west side, which was caught on police cameras. Now, Foxx and CPD detectives say there's not enough evidence to charge anybody yet. Lightfoot, backed by the police superintendent, called the decision a complete failure of the system. The pair aired out their differences in public this week, only to hold a meeting on Thursday. They say they're now committed to working together on the problem. And as City Council mulls over the mayor's nearly $17 billion budget plan, aldermen are demanding answers as to why the city is still spending millions on a controversial piece of gunshot detection technology. For months, activists and researchers have raised concerns about the accuracy and usefulness of ShotSpotter. Now, two studies, one from the MacArthur Justice Center, another from the city's own Inspector General, have concluded that ShotSpotter is not an effective tool. The MacArthur study showed ShotSpotter alerts resulted in more than 40,000 dead-end police deployments, and that deployments are focused on Chicago's Black and Latino communities. The Inspector General found the technology to be even less effective. Just 9% of alerts they studied resulted in evidence of a gun crime. And they say it makes police more likely to stop and detain people in certain areas where alerts are high. Now, the company's $33 million contract is actually paid through the city's Office of Public Safety Administration, not the police department. Despite objections, the contract was quietly extended at the end of last year. Superintendent David Brown defended the technology at a hearing last week.
Gunshot detection technology has saved lives in the city of Chicago. Our officers have responded and found wounded persons, applied tourniquets. Officers have responded and confronted violent offenders. As a result of this, if one life is saved, we should keep that tool in our toolbox.
That is true.
ShotSpotter says an independent audit shows the technology operates at a 97% accuracy rate. The company argues they deploy sensors in neighborhoods that suffer the highest levels of gun violence, and say the MacArthur Justice Center study used incomplete data to paint a misleading picture. They say that just 16% of traditional 911 calls resulted in a police report or evidence found. They say that's around the same accuracy as ShotSpotter technology at 17%. Now, in response to aldermanic questions about their contract with Chicago, a statement from a company spokesperson went on to say, and I quote, ShotSpotter has been in operation for 25 years, serves more than 120 cities, and has earned trust and high renewal rates from many police departments because the system is effective in helping to save lives, reduce gun violence, and make communities safer. Well, Jonathan Manis is an attorney with the MacArthur Justice Center in Illinois and has led the Illinois office work on the ShotSpotter. Jonathan joins me this morning using Zoom. Jonathan, good to see you. Thanks for being with me.
Thanks for having me.
So let me just start by saying, what do people say when they hear the results of your guys' study, which says, hey, this thing doesn't work, and then you have ShotSpotter responding, says, hey, 97% accuracy. So what are people supposed to look at when they hear those two divergent views?
Well, I think people want to know whether spending $9 million a year on this technology is actually helping to reduce gun violence. And there's no evidence it is. The city has not produced any evidence that ShotSpotter has actually helped to reduce gun violence. And what we're hearing from ShotSpotter is actually misleading statistics. They claim 97% accuracy. That statistic, they're actually just assuming that every alert was a gunshot, unless the police report an error back to them. And we know the police have not reported a single false alert back to ShotSpotter in 2 years. So that number is really meaningless. So the fact that ShotSpotter is coming back and responding with sort of misleading statistics, I think suggests to me that there's very little evidence to support this as a useful tool to actually reduce gun violence.
Well, and of course they, disagree with you on that, but let's clear up a couple of things. This is a big deal now because, of course, aldermen are dealing with the budget, and this is part of that. So that's why this is one of the reasons it's front burner. So let me ask you this. Over time, have cops been able to detect the likelihood based on location or time, whether the data is likely to be false?
You know, what we found based on the city's own data is that cops can expect that 91% of the time when they're responding to a ShotSpotter alert, they can expect to find no gun-related incident at all. And we're counting, just even like simple unlawful possession of a weapon, not just shootings. So that's the best information we have about what cops can expect to find on the scene. And so, the question is whether it makes sense to be spending millions of dollars on a tool that sends cops out on dead-end deployments 9 times out of 10. And it's not just the dollar value cost. What the Inspector General found was that there's thousands of stop and frisks that the police are doing prompted by ShotSpotter alert. And again, only 2 out of 10 of those investigatory stops turn up any gun. So this is changing police behavior in ways that exacerbate the kinds of problems people have been complaining about in the city for years.
So one of the things that you guys say in the MacArthur study is that the equipment may not be able to reliably distinguish gunfire sounds from other loud noises. Is there proof of that?
The remarkable thing is that ShotSpotter has never done a study testing the system to see how easily it is fooled by fireworks or blown out tires or other noises that sound like gunfire. You would expect a company like ShotSpotter to have done proper scientific validation of its system, which it's selling to 120 cities, but they haven't. They just have never tested it for false alerts. So it's incumbent, I think, on a company like ShotSpotter selling this to do that testing. They haven't done it. There's no regulator here. It's incumbent on the police department to know what it's buying, and it should know that it's buying an untested technology.
And do you happen to know, is the equipment adjustable at all so that, issues of, to make it more accurate, that adjustments can be made? Do we know if that's possible?
The details of the system are a bit of a black box. We know that there's an algorithm that makes a first cut at detecting the sound. And then we know that there are people in call centers that ShotSpotter runs who listen to the audio and kind of decide based on a very short snippet whether it sounds like gunfire. I'm not sure how you improve the accuracy of people listening to disembodied audio snippets. I'm not sure if it's possible.
All right, so the mayor likes this, cops like it, so I'm trying to just sort of put arguments out that they might be thinking about. Would you at least acknowledge that the system, ShotSpotter, might be a deterrent to people, that if bad people know it's there, maybe that deters them from going into an area with a gun or firing a gun?
It's hard to see how the deterrence works. People know that ShotSpotter is covering the entire south and the west side. Presumably people understand that if they're firing a gun, they should just, run away or something quickly. It's hard to see how it's an effective deterrent. And we haven't seen, obviously, a reduction in gun crime with ShotSpotter. There's no evidence that it's reduced gun crime. So I don't see any evidence of a deterrent effect.
And as you know, the Cook County Public Defender, they filed a motion challenging the scientific validity of the system. MacArthur Foundation has written a brief in support, an amicus brief. And so let me ask you this. One allegation is that police officers could escalate a situation or use excessive force because they assume they're going into a dangerous situation. I think I'm taking that from the brief you guys wrote. My question is that a problem with ShotSpotter, or is that a problem with police training and sensitivities there?
I think it's a bit of both. So, what this system does is it tells police officers that they're going into a situation where, according to the technology, shots were just fired. There's somebody there who had a gun, shot it. So police come into these situations expecting or thinking that they might be encountering lethal danger. So even though, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to find anything. Then there's a question about police training. How do they respond to these ShotSpotter alerts? And, I think we've all seen video footage now of how police enter situations where they feel like they may be under threat. And one of the problems with ShotSpotter is that it really doesn't give officers much information at all. It just says, gunshot at this location, nothing about what a person looks like, what kind of car they're driving, who's involved, how many people, et cetera.
Yeah. So just briefly, Jonathan, we're out of time, but $33 million spent on this. Does MacArthur Foundation take a position on where that money is better spent?
Well, the community coalition that's working on this strongly believes that the money should be spent on community-based violence prevention. We want to prevent shootings before they happen rather than, reacting afterwards and save lives that way.
All right, fair enough. Jonathan Manis, attorney in the MacArthur Justice Center's Illinois office. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate it. Have a good Sunday.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to take our first break. Up next on WGN TV Political Report, President Biden brings his vaccine message to Illinois. Can the president convince companies to implement their own mandates while his agenda is on hold in Washington? Congressman Brad Schneider joins us in just a minute. Don't go anywhere.